Hey everybody, this is the game of Throwdowns week, aka 16.1, aka the Open, okay, one of the most fun times of the year at the gym. And before I mention more on that, I kind of wanted to break down this little pyramid that I got here. Now, as a lot of you know, I'm a big fan of pyramids just in general, because they help give a sort of an eyeball to some philosophical construct. And what I want to do is just sort of offer these ideas that have been sort of evolving over the 11 years that the gym's been open, in the last few years especially, and really in the last 6 to 9 months. As many of you know, I've been doing a lot of breath work and taking the staff to develop their different breathing techniques and understanding of them. One in particular, the Wim Hof technique, which has been very profoundly life-altering for me personally, but it's also really interesting watching some studies that are coming out on it as far as what it can do for you health-wise, wellness-wise, etc. And as we construct this is really basically the future of the School of Mastery, right? So at the bottom, this thing that we've been working on for a long time, this idea of context. In other words, balancing that mindset with what's going on for you emotionally and integrating those two aspects with your physical practice. And for the modern adult, there's a lot there alone for any kind of physical practice. But for a truly integrated practice, one that requires somebody to be physically intense at times, and then other times reduce the physical intensity and replace that with attention to detail, form, mechanics, mindset, breath technique, all that kind of stuff. It becomes a little bit more foundational, and that's why it's at the bottom of this pyramid. And with all the breath work that we've been doing, it's one of the things that's really undertaught in fitness altogether. Expert athletes to novice athletes aren't often taught how to breathe. And this is something that excites me. As somebody who owns a gym, but also somebody who's been in fitness his entire life, with a mom who reminded me about all these different ways to breathe, although with no sort of formal education on that. I didn't know what was being taught by my mom like 20, 30 years ago. And now, with some deeper understanding of what's going on in the diaphragm, what's going on with the hormonal system, the central nervous system, the nerves, the way they pattern and all that kind of stuff. There's so much that happens before we even get to the top of the pyramid, which is our physical movement. And there's a lot of different breathing techniques that can help serve the physical practices that we want to have. For example, the box breathing technique that we've used for several years at the gym is really useful during a hard Metcon. Some of the Wim Hof technique can be really helpful during intervals. It can also help performance overall if you do it right before a hard workout. A Valsalva breath, that's the one where you tighten yourself and brace really hard. It's obviously super helpful if you're doing a heavy back squat or a heavy bench press or heavy shoulder press or heavy snatch. And again, all of that's very relevant to the physical practice, but undertaught, understood, and something that should absolutely inform the physical practice. So with that, as many of you know, I'm teaching Wim Hof through the Whole Life Challenge. Tuesday mornings, 5:30, early for most. I get it, I know. It's really early for me, and I get up early every morning. But it will make your day better if you turn up. And I know it's hard to get up that early. And I know that most of you have, or a lot of people have tried to shut their alarm off. We've only got a couple weeks left, and I would encourage you, if you've been considering it, to give it a shot. But again, I just wanted to kind of give like a little bit of a philosophical construct of where the gym, the School of Mastery, is going over the next several years. Now, with all this, talking about context, the Open's coming. We're calling it the game of Throwdowns because we want to have fun while we're doing it. For a lot of people, especially the beginner and intermediate levels, this is a great opportunity to get first toes to bar, first wall ball, first muscle up, a PR in some different weightlifting maneuvers. The Open always brings out the best in our community. And if you've never tried it or are new to the community, I would encourage you all to consider signing up if you haven't already, because I can promise it's a blast and you will get a lot out of it just from a team perspective, from a fun perspective, but also just from a personal perspective. That's it. Love you guys. Have a great week.